So I actually had no idea Sunday night when I was preparing the Monday show that I would end up talking so much about impeachment this week. But every single day, the number of prominent Democrats and legal experts who are saying impeachment is justified, impeachment is the correct thing, impeachment debate at minimum, if not proceedings, should actually start right away. That number of people is growing and growing. So every day I find myself with sort of more to discuss about this. And I don't want to sort of like rehash the entire list for you every single day in order to build on it. But I'll remind you that Elizabeth Warren now says that she believes impeachment of Donald Trump is the right thing. There is a growing number of people, some of whom I'll add to that list today, who are saying this. And the point is, it's a movement that is gaining momentum at this point in time. And it's really important to talk about the distinction between starting a debate on impeachment in the House of Representatives and actually filing impeachment proceedings, which would be a sort of formal investigation culminated by a vote by members of the Senate about whether the president should or should not be removed. The mere start of debate about impeachment would allow a whole bunch of documents to be released. The House could debate and decide rather than to impeach, to censure, for example. And we could talk about whether censuring really has any sort of practical impact on the president of the United States. From what I've been reading the last couple of days, the answer is basically no. But the point is, deciding to start debate about impeachment does not mean that it must or definitely will culminate in actual impeachment proceedings and eventually a Senate vote about whether or not to remove the president. And in fact, there are people saying, have the debate, but maybe go for censure rather than impeachment. But that is all kind of secondary here. And also sort of increasingly secondary is the discussion of impeachment as a strategy. I've been talking for more than a year now about how impeachment as a political strategy for 2020 or as a political strategy for removing the president of the United States is not particularly useful. And I got a lot of critiques over the last few days now that the sort of contours of this impeachment discussion have changed, saying, David, forget about the strategy of it for a second. It's the duty of Congress, given the evidence that we have, to, at minimum, debate the impeachment of the president, if not actually file impeachment proceedings. And I want to sort of focus along those lines today. I'll give you some examples of the growing voices that are taking a point of view on this that is very much pro at least starting debate on impeachment. Leonard Pitts Jr. is a writer for the Miami Herald who points out in a new piece, which we're linking to, that this is not about strategy, but that this is about right and wrong, and that every corner of government has been corrupted in some way. The Justice Department with William Barr, the press relationship and access to the White House vis-a-vis Sarah Huckabee Sanders' endless lies, including some of which have now been verified beyond any doubt. It's not just speculation that she lies. It's actually the Mueller report says that she lies. She admitted to lying. And he goes on to explain how basically every corner of government has been corrupted at this point in time, and it is time to impeach. Congresswoman Maxine Waters, a Democrat, saying straight up on MSNBC yesterday, we're going to have to impeach. Congressman Elijah Cummings, I told you yesterday he was sort of the mindset of there should be consequences, and if not now, when, or what would justify consequences type of statement, to saying on MSNBC yesterday, Congressman Elijah Cummings, that Trump, quote, deserves the mark of impeachment. So we're not talking about strategy here. We're talking about right and wrong. We're talking about a congressional duty to do what it is that they're supposed to do given the circumstances and the evidence that we have. But there are also some interesting strategy articles being released related to impeachment. One example is from Republican strategist Sherry Jacobus, who argues that impeachment will actually help Democrats. Now, we'll get it at the end of the show today. Today's voicemail is from an angry Trumpist who is sort of begging for Democrats to try to impeach Trump, believing that this will just help Trump get reelected in 2020. That's one perspective. What Sherry Jacobus is pointing out is that most Americans, many Americans, a plurality of Americans, whatever phrase you want to apply to it, don't have any idea what's in the Mueller report. In other words, most people have lives. Most people aren't watching long congressional hearings, even if the Michael Cohen congressional hearing had record ratings for such a hearing. The Mueller report is 450 pages, and to the extent that people see a news story about it, or unfortunately, get their impressions of what's in the Mueller report from the Barr letter, which is a complete sort of mischaracterization of what's in the Mueller report, that if you actually start debate on impeachment and move forward on impeachment, even if it doesn't succeed at removing the president, it will inform people about the content of the Mueller report. It will inform people who have no idea what is actually going on, what it is that is being debated and that has taken place, and that in the long run, it will actually help Democrats and hurt Donald Trump as we approach the 2020 election. Now, should Democrats take advice from a Republican strategist? Maybe not. You also have Harvard law professor Lawrence Tribe, who is for sure a partisan actor, but he is someone who knows a lot about impeachment, who says at this point in time, Donald Trump is impeachable. And by that, he means actually removable by a Senate vote on the basis of impeachment proceedings started by the House. So the last 5 days, we've seen a very decided shift here. You've seen more and more Democrats sort of abandoning the Nancy Pelosi perspective of we shouldn't bother with impeachment. Trump's not worth impeachment, or whatever other phraseology she's applied to this since March. You've seen more and more momentum build, Democrats part ways with Nancy Pelosi. And what's clear at this point in time, without knowing exactly how this is going to play out, is that the discussion about impeachment is not disappearing next week, and it's not disappearing next month. And it's gone beyond the issue of political strategy, which I still believe to be legitimate, to one simply of, given the facts, what is supposed to be Congress's role in adjudicating the actions of the President of the United States, it's time to start a floor debate on impeachment. And at that point in time, once that has happened, Congress can decide, do we want to actually move forward with articles of impeachment? Do we want to move forward with censure of the president? Or after this debate, have we determined that we're not going to go any further? That should be the immediate next step, and it goes well beyond political strategy at this point in time. Today, the David Pakman Show was made possible in part by NordVPN, which is a tool that I've been using on my computer and my phone to protect my privacy online and to keep my personal data safe, because it allows you to change your device's IP address, making you totally anonymous on the internet. And NordVPN is giving everybody in our audience a 75% discount on a 3-year subscription. This comes out to less than $3 a month, plus a whole month free when you go to nordvpn.com/David Pakman and use the coupon code David Pakman, all one word. We know that the David Pakman Show has a lot of viewers in Europe, and Article 13 of the European Union Copyright Directive was just passed, which has been an extremely controversial piece of legislation among the YouTube community because it requires YouTube and other video sharing platforms to crack down on copyright in even harsher ways. And there are still a lot of unanswered questions about what effects this law is going to have. YouTube videos might even be blocked in Europe. And this type of thing is something else that NordVPN is perfect for. If content is being censored where you live, NordVPN lets you change your IP address so that it looks like you're connecting to the internet from a totally different geographical location, and you circumvent these types of heavy-handed content bans and censorship. But there's lots of other advantages as well. You're making yourself a lot less susceptible to being hacked. It makes it harder for creepy social media websites to follow you around the internet. When you use NordVPN, you and what you're doing online stay totally anonymous. And David Pakman Show viewers can get 75% off a 3-year plan of NordVPN. That's under $3 a month, plus one whole month totally free, just by going to nordvpn.com/David Pakman. I've put the link underneath this video. Then just use the coupon code David Pakman at checkout, all one word.